We're Cassie.
And Emily.
And this is Book Butts and Chill, a podcast where we talk about books, movies, and pop culture the way that you actually experience them.
This show is for type B readers, people who love stories but don't want the pressure, perfection, or the participation trophies.
Hit follow, grab a drink, and let's talk about it. Today we are talking about the Netflix adaptation of Remarkably Bright Creatures, which dropped May 8th, and I have cried multiple times, and I'm choosing to see that as a good sign.
Same. Okay, really quick though, I went in so nervous for this movie. I was so attached to some of these characters, and I was so afraid they weren't going to be able to get that across over the screen. So were you nervous going in?
I was nervous in particular for Marcellus. Like, he just lives in my brain rent free, and I'm so protective over him. Like, even to the point when I heard him in the trailer, I was like, what's happening here? So I was just very nervous that Netflix was about to fumble my octopus BFF.
100%. Okay, so today we're going to do a little spoiler-free recap of Remarkably Bright Creatures in case you don't remember what the story is about. Then we're going to get into a full book-to-screen adaptation deep dive with our opinions and our ratings. So the whole story centers around really 3 characters, and they all are located in this small town, which actually I don't even really know where it's located. Is it in like Washington? That's what I imagine.
It's definitely in the Pacific Northwest. I think it is in Washington because they talk about like going across the bay or whatever, and it's set in this place called Soul Bay.
Soul Bay, yes. But it's like a weird little almost like island inlet place. Like it's a small town that feels like hard to reach. And they have a small aquarium in this little town that like is rehabbing ocean animals. And that's where you meet our first character, Marcellus, who is a Pacific Coast giant octopus, and he is a sentient being. Like we get an internal dialogue from him, so he understands what's going on around him and is commentating what he's seeing from his tank in this aquarium.
That's right.
And so the first person that you meet is Tova Sullivan, who works at the aquarium, and she works the night shift as a cleaning lady. She appears like very lonely and sad, and Marcellus kind of like grabs onto her because he feels like they have a connection of their sadness and their emotions and something that they're both missing. So they're both old. Yeah, they're both old. Oh yeah, very important. Tova is like 7 years old and Marcellus has like 100 days to live. And so they're bonded by their grasps on death.
Tova is very alive and well, by the way. She has a lot of years ahead of her.
But she is reaching the time of her life where she's alone and she's like wondering if she needs to go into a nursing home and like to have like support, and she's like stumbling and things like that. So that's tough. But this is where it's important that a third character comes into this POV. This like ramshackled younger man comes out from somewhere off this inlet to town on a mission to find his long lost father. And he comes there, he has no job, he's in a broken down van, and so he needs to get some quick work, and he also ends up working at the aquarium, and the 3 POVs all kind of merge from there.
That's right. And this man's name is Cameron Castmore, which is semi-important. So it's very much it's a literary fiction novel that is very character driven, but like the central theme is very much like grief and coming to terms with that grief and forgiveness and acceptance and all of these things. And so there's just so much good stuff in here, and it is like one of the most cozy books I feel like that I've ever read. And
cozy, she says cozy as I literally sobbed my way through this book. I think some of us have different definitions of cozy.
Sorry. You know what? Some of us have some thick skin over here.
Maybe like heartwarming. It's heartwarming. But the point is, though, this book is incredibly character driven. And with that said, this movie already had a lot on its shoulders because these 3 characters needed to deliver. And I think that the casting, as soon as that trailer hit our hands, was under fire.
Well, also, I think Remarkably Bright Creatures, just as a book, it was huge. It was a New York Times bestseller. It popped off on Book Talk, like lost its mind over it. And so this movie just had a lot riding on its shoulders overall. But then to your point, it's like these characters needed to deliver, but also Marcellus needed to deliver. The octopus
Yes.
needed to deliver. And when I first watched the trailer, my first instinct was like, "Oh my God, I'm so excited." And then I heard Marcellus speak and I was like, "Why is this David Attenborough? Like what has happened here?"
And
I
I
literally
wasn't surprised by it because he's an old man octopus, so I expected him to have an old man voice.
But why in the audiobook was he narrated by Michael Urie, who is very much a not old wise man and
Was that
is
a
in
poor
fact just
audiobook
a
choice?
relatable, perfect person. I thought it was amazing because I remember listening to it and I was like, he is delivering on Marcellus's sass, on his sarcasm, like just the satire around his entire character and his vibe so perfectly. And, like, I
Yeah.
don't know, it was like a grumpy old man Marcellus is kind of funny, but, like, Michael Urie Marcellus was genuinely, like, I've he was my spirit animal.
And I think since I didn't listen to the audiobook, when I heard the voice on the trailer, I was just like, "Oh yeah, this makes sense." And I was more worried about what he was going to look like. I don't know, like,
Yeah,
I didn't want him to look too fake because in the book, he's like a real human to me. Like, he has, like, human
totally.
emotions.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think
He
they did a
was
really good job. CGI is just out of control these days.
CGI is scary, but also I appreciate it because they crushed it. And like you see that from the trailer that he just looks so realistic in a very interesting way. But then you're still getting the emotion from his eyes and things like that. And like even
Mhm.
when the characters, like the actual people are interacting with him, it looks realistic. So I was very impressed. And I honestly got butterflies from whatever the part was when Tova's like cleaning the tank and he's
Yeah.
talking and then you see him for the first time and I was like, "Oh my God."
Yeah, it gives me chills still. Well, speaking
Uh,
of Tova, people are saying Sally Field as Tova was literally the perfect casting.
she was. Honestly,
Yeah,
as I was watching her, I was like, I didn't even have anyone for Tova in my head as I was reading the
me
book, to be
either.
honest. Like, I that could have been a completely clean slate for me, but I don't think I realized that I desperately needed it to be Sally Field.
Yeah, neither did I. I think that I literally just had like any older woman that I felt sad for in my head when I was reading. I don't think that I realized that like I was as attached to Tova as I was until I saw Sally Field portray her.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. She just was so perfect, and, like, I don't know, I haven't seen Sally Field in a lot of things recently, so maybe
No.
there was some level of nostalgia from seeing her on my screen again too, in this role that felt so right for her, so it was just I don't know,
Yeah.
it was kind of like a perfect mixing of things.
Now, Cameron, the third POV, he was unexpected to me. Is that the word I want to use? Unsuspecting,
Sure.
unexpecting. I did not expect him, is what I'm trying to say.
I did not
Because
either.
I have never seen this man. I had to look him up.
Yeah, what else is he in?
He was in that show that's also a book about the woman scientist. It
Oh,
came out
yes!
recently.
Oh my gosh, Lessons in Chemistry.
Yes, and I didn't watch that show.
Oh, I watched that show. Oh my gosh, I totally forgot he was in that. He looks so different in it.
And
Wow.
then he was also in the new Top Gun movie, which I also didn't watch.
I didn't watch that either, honestly. All the beach scenes that I saw on the clips, I was like, I'm good.
So I,
I'm
like,
good
had
here.
no idea who this man was, and I'm like, "You're gonna hit us with Sally Field and then this absolute stranger of a man." Like, I was a little, like,
Yeah.
taken aback.
Yeah, but he did such a great job. Like that was I feel like in the book, he is kind of this balance of like he is this man that clearly just is in search of people to love him in a community and things like that. But then also he's very broody and cynical and all of that stuff from his
Yeah.
past. And I feel like the actor did a really good job of kind of balancing those two. I think that there are a lot of things that we need to talk about between what happened in
Yeah.
the book and what happened in the movie because my general perspective is that the movie was a spot on adaptation. Like truly, I feel like any changes that they did make like potentially made the story better and like enhanced the story
Yeah.
versus taking away from it. And I feel like that was done because the way that they depicted the different POVs was very well balanced and like they
Yeah.
didn't focus one area or another. So I'm interested in what you thought there too.
I agree that I thought the POVs were well balanced, and I also think that was what was most important to me going into this movie was that they delivered on the emotional impact, which they 100%
Yeah.
did. But
Yeah.
they did do some sly changes in the background that were, like, a little bit interesting, I think. Like,
Yeah.
do you remember that the whole reason that first of all, maybe we should say that this section is gonna have spoilers before I just start
Mhm.
dropping lore on
Fair,
everybody.
fair, fair. Good call.
Spoilers starting now.
Yeah,
Do you remember that Tova's had like an estranged brother who dies? And
yeah,
that's the whole reason she originally goes to that retirement home and like signs up to go.
yeah, and they made it her husband in the movie.
Yeah, which that was interesting. I also feel like the way that they involved the man that Cameron was looking for was a lot more minimized than it was in the book. Like in the book,
Yeah,
he like did multiple travels to find this man and you could
yeah,
feel his desperation to know this man. And when they
yeah.
finally meet, it was like a really big like part of the book and I felt like that was really minimized in the movie.
I feel like they ended up just focusing way more on his relationship with Tova and, like,
Yeah.
building that relationship, which I actually really appreciated because I feel like that delivered on the emotional impact a little bit more for me
Yeah.
versus me being like, "Oh, woe is Cameron, like, the guy he's been searching for isn't actually his dad, and he's been, like, desperately searching for however long."
Yeah. But do you feel like I also enjoyed the movie about how it was more focused on Tova and like
Yeah,
him coming to Tova. Like it felt more Tova centered. But
yeah.
I do wonder if that's like why I wasn't as into his character because they didn't develop him as much as they did in the book.
Yeah, I just think I wasn't into him regardless, and so I kinda was
Yeah.
like, "Okay, fine." I'm like, "Give me more Tova time, give me more Marcellus time, realistically,
And
and
I
I will
kind
be
of
good."
like I kind of like didn't really care about his storyline on the like dating aspect, like him dating that girl. I was like I could have done without that.
He could have been there or not. He was really just
Yeah.
there to be Tova's grandson and, like, so she could have some family, and that was kind of it.
But do you remember the book being so Tova-centered?
Yeah, I think so.
I
I
remember it
think
being more, like, divided.
I think it was definitely there was 100% more Cameron in the book than there was in the movie, for sure.
Yeah,
And I agree with the choice to lean more into Tova because her story is just infinitely more interesting.
yeah,
Um, but I do think it was still like balanced in an okay way between Tova and Marcellus in the movie versus like in the book I felt like Marcellus almost had a little bit more and then Tova and then Cameron
yeah.
almost. So I don't know. I thought that that decision, at least for me, made the movie way more entertaining.
It made the movie more entertaining 100%, but I think it made it less of an as accurate adaptation for me, maybe.
Oh,
Which
wow. Is
yeah,
that how nitpicky we're getting on the
yeah.
accuracy? Wow.
100%. But I do have a question for you because I think in the book, since it was you got all of that background on Cameron and how desperate he was to search for the dad and all that stuff, that the twist hit me way more in the book than it did in the movie. I feel like
Yeah.
they literally told us the twist in the first 3 minutes of the movie.
That's what happens in the book, though.
I guess, but since you're not, like, viewing it, like, looking at Tova and Cameron, like, standing right next to each other and Marcellus staring at them side by side, like, in the book, like, it was harder to piece that imagery together.
I think in the book, literally, Marcellus at some point, like, outright says, like, they are clearly kin.
I literally thought in the book that it was gonna end and him just be, like, an adoptive son to her, like, they just, like, built a relationship.
No, I think the Easter eggs were strong in the book. Like, I think Marcellus literally comes out and says that, like, halfway through the book, and then you're just, like, waiting for them both to figure it out.
Speaking of Marcellus and his point of view, do you feel like
Uh-huh.
they didn't, like, do enough Marcellus in the movie?
A little bit. I do feel like he was very much the soul of the book. Like, Marcellus was this, like, constant undertone of humor, of thoughtfulness, of sadness, of grief, and I feel like in the movie, that was more Tova than it was Marcellus, and, like,
Yeah,
Marcellus was more of the, like, supporting addition to all of those things.
I agree, he was almost like a side character in the
Yeah.
movie, but in the book, he was like a main character.
Yeah, I do think in the book, like, he was such a main character that it made it so entertaining because I feel like when you're reading about a creature, an animal, or whatever, like, obviously there's just this inherent, like, trust in them, and you just are like, I love them because they have this personality, and this is
Yeah,
so fantastical that I'm reading from a character like this. But in a movie, I feel like that's harder to deliver on emotionally,
yeah.
like, particularly with an octopus, where it's like, we're just in his inner monologue watching this octopus, and we can only see him, like, blinking his eyes and, like, moving his tentacles, but, like, there's only so much you can get from that.
And I feel like they, like, talked a lot in the movie about, like, his escape artistness, and I
Mhm.
feel like in the book, like, that was part of it, but there was so much more to him in the book, and I'm like, I am so in love with him as a character from that book, and I just want everybody else to love him as much, and I feel like the movie, like, it maybe won't deliver that.
I mean, I'm just gonna say it, if he was maybe had a different voiceover that was maybe more connective to his humor and his wit and his sarcasm, that we would have felt differently, and that's all
They
I'm gonna
didn't
say.
even, like, portray his sarcasm, I feel like, in the
I
movie.
know, there was, like, literally 2 lines that were, like, curmudgeon-y, and then that was it, and I was like, "Cool." I, like, giggled.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
in the book, I was, like, genuinely laughing whenever he would say anything.
I did love the beginning of the movie when he was, like, disgusted with the children at the
Yeah.
aquarium. I'm like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
these kids need to be shamed."
Yeah, they're gross. They're really
Yeah.
gross. I do think it's so interesting because, like, after watching Project Hail Mary, which obviously we have
Mhm.
Rocky as this other character who has no face, and so, like,
Yeah.
there's no the emotional delivery from him, like, has to be through the lines and the dialogue, and I feel like that was pulled in so well into that movie versus Remarkably Bright Creatures with Marcellus. I was like, there were a few lines here and there where I was like, "Oh, this is good, like, connective tissue to Tova or whatever," but I
Yeah.
feel like Tova really ended up, like, carrying a lot of the weight of, like, that emotional connection and their friendship.
And she was actually having some funny one-liners too. I was like,
Yeah.
"Why did you take them from Marcellus? Why couldn't he deliver that?
Come on!
Come on."
Oh my god. I do think it's interesting though, because like, I was thinking about, this book, and it has a lot of great reviews, but then there's a lot of people who have read it who are like, "That was the most boring book of all time."
Yeah.
And I I do think the choice to adapt it into a movie was so interesting to me. Like, I remember hearing about this at first, and I was like, "Is that gonna be boring?" Like, I'm so
Yeah.
interested in how they do that. And I feel
Yeah.
like in general, we as a society are so ready to watch these action-packed movies, these sci-fi movies that require you to think or whatever, and or these thriller movies. And a quiet movie like this, a cozy movie like this is I feel like very difficult to deliver on in an
Yeah.
entertaining way. And they did such a great job. Like, genuinely, I was locked in from start to finish on this. And I'm like, 4 things happened in total, maybe.
I feel like I was also locked in because we love this book, but I feel like if nobody's read this book, they were picking up their phone mid-movie.
Yeah, that's probably true.
'Cause it gets kind of like when you don't know, like, where the connector pieces are yet from the beginning to the end. It gets a little, like, sleepy in the middle.
Yeah, I guess I don't know, it kinda reminded me a little bit of, like, a early 2000s, late 90s rom-com where,
Yeah.
like, I for sure watch those now, and I'm, like, picking up my phone, but I'm still entertained, and I'm, like, still enjoying it, and I do think there is something to a movie where you don't have to use all of your brain power to take in what's happening and to understand
Yeah.
what's happening, and, I think it's great that they release it on streaming because I'm like, that would be a little tough in a movie theater,
Yes, I
um
agree. But do you think it's like our little pea brains that need all the action and the thriller? Like, should we be more ashamed of ourselves versus the content that's being put out? Like, we need to learn to just like put our phones down for an hour and 55 minutes.
Yeah, and just enjoy a, like, quietly beautiful storyline and enjoy, like, these characters going through this emotional journey and emotional development and, like, appreciate that for what it is. Like, there were just so many parts of it that I feel like I took away where I was like, "Wow, that was really beautiful to watch on screen." Like,
Yeah.
Tova's
Which,
friendships, for example. I was like, "Wow, I loved watching her with the Nitwits in
mhm,
person and seeing how they interacted with each other and their rapport, but then also the, like, very beautiful moments where, like, they're trying to relate over these life changes that they're going through, and I was like, "That
yeah.
there is such a place for stories like that."
It's going to be a great release for Mother's Day. Like, I
Oh,
think everybody should sit down with their mom on Mother's Day, put
I
your phones
agree.
away, and watch this movie.
I agree, I agree. I mean, it's
Because
just
it ends up so Tova centered, it feels like a very, like, mom movie.
yeah, I agree.
Last thing that I felt like they did deliver well in this movie is the imagery. Like, the imagery of the jellyfish tank that Tova's standing in front of Marcellus and all of his habitat, and then just, like, the
Yeah.
quiet, gray, stormy beaches. Even the little tiny grocery store that she shops at, like, I feel like the setting they did really well.
I totally agree. I genuinely was like, I feel like I'm in this town right now." Like,
Yeah.
the when she would wake up and there would be these, like, shots of the lake that she
Oh,
lived
yeah.
on outside of her house and, like, even in her house, I was like, "Oh my god," like, this is just so immersive. And, like,
Yeah.
when, Marcellus is, like, in the ocean at the beginning of the movie, I was like, "I feel like I'm in the ocean. This isn't even CGI for me.
Yeah. 100%.
This is
Oh,
crazy." It was
also
so
the
cool.
imagery at the end of her dragging the mop buckets down to the waterfront while she's, like, wet and crying, and she's just,
Yeah.
like, old, and it's hard for her to move, but she's gonna move this 200-pound octopus to the
Yeah.
water. Like, they just did so well at using the surroundings to portray the emotions.
Oh my god, I was, like, full crying at that point. I was like, "I
Same.
can't." I
Same.
did not, like, know how this was gonna hit me in real life, and it was just so devastating, like, that letting go of this, like, friend and this constant support for yourself and knowing that you're doing right by them, but then also Marcellus being like, "Don't worry, my death is still imminent, but, like, I'm home now." I was like, "Oh my
Yeah.
god,
Oh my gosh, I could cry thinking about it right now.
help." When he, like, goes into the little hole in the seafloor and he's like,
Yeah.
"I've returned to my home," or whatever, I was just like, "Oh my god."
I did feel like it was a little bizarre that they included that, like, 1-minute shot of how Marcellus got attacked by an eel in the water.
Yeah, yeah.
It felt, like, very random at the point that they put it in the movie.
Like, also, it's just like, okay, we haven't had any action up until this point, and we have,
Yeah,
like, literally 20 minutes left of the movie.
it was like a full action scene. I was like, "That was not needed."
I do feel like they were like, "Okay, we have to show that Marcellus is, like, sacrificed for this woman and for Tova and for his friend," and
Yeah.
I get that choice, but to your point, I was like, "It's a little too late." Like, this would have been
Yeah,
better in in the middle of the movie or something, I don't know.
100%.
You lost me. Oh my god, but I do think overall, I loved this movie. I think there was a lot that really worked. There was a lot that semi didn't work, but, like, not enough to just, like, ruin the movie for me.
No, I also really enjoyed watching the movie. I did. I enjoyed watching it. I think that a theme that's coming through for me in 2026 is that I am enjoying all of these book to screen adaptations, but I really have to separate them from the book.
You do. You really
Yeah.
do. I
Like, I thought that was a great movie. Like, I think if people sit down and watch that movie, they're really going to enjoy it.
I genuinely think that was a very good adaptation. Like, I think that they took en enough of the book, but then also maintained the heart of the book for the adaptation and, like, truly adapted it for a less than 2-hour movie
Yeah.
in a
Maybe
very good way.
maybe that's what I need to reframe my mind to, that they're keeping the heart of the book. I like that.
The one thing in Emily's life that she's a stickler on are these adaptations.
Should all book to screen adaptations go straight to streaming though? Like, should Wuthering Heights not have come out in the movie theater?
No, I loved that that was in the theater, even though I really didn't love that movie. Like, just the cinematography was unbelievable on the big screen,
Yeah, I
you
do
know?
agree. That one did need the big screen, but
I wish that
it
I didn't have to pay for that, but I think seeing it on the big screen, I was like, this was worth it.
and I think it was the same for Project Hail Mary. You needed that on the big screen
Oh,
for
yeah.
the
I
imagery.
needed that in IMAX. I needed popcorn. I needed to be in a dark room with a bunch of people laughing out loud, crying together, enjoying being heart-warmed by Rocky and Grace at the same time.
Yeah, yeah,
I very much stand by
100%.
that. But I also stand by People We Meet on Vacation or Remarkably Bright Creatures coming out on streaming because I'm like, those
I
aren't
agree.
theater movies,
Honestly, a
realistically.
rom-com in the theater is tough these days.
Yeah, you really have to, like, give me a very strong case for why I'm going to pay to see that.
Yeah, I agree. Okay,
It's tough.
let's talk about our final review before we continue to spoil it too much. So, you're saying your final review on the adaptation in stars.
And stars, okay. I would say a 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I thought
I
it
think
was
so
very,
as
very
well.
good. Very high quality adaptation.
Do you think that if you were a kid in school and you didn't read this book for your book report, but you watched the movie, that you would still get an A on the report?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, emotional impact.
I cried throughout the entire I cried at the beginning, oh my god, when they first but again, this is because I love the book so much. When they first showed Tova and Marcellus, like, looking at each other, already tearing up. It's the first
Yeah.
60 seconds of the movie.
Yeah.
I teared up multiple times in the middle, sobbing at the end.
Yeah. No, I literally I did not sob, but I was crying multiple points throughout the movie. Like they did such a beautiful job. So I would give it 5 out of 5 for sure.
Yeah. And I think that was, like, the main point of this book, is to get the emotional impact through.
Yeah,
So I would also say 5.
and they did it. Okay, casting.
Casting.
I'm giving it a 5 on my end.
Even for Marcellus?
Yeah. Well, oh, you mean the narrator?
Yeah, because I feel like that counts
Oh,
as the casting.
okay, that's fair. All right, then I'm gonna dock a star. I'll give it a 4 out of 5.
I give it like a 3 out of 5 for my points I made earlier, because I feel like Sally was perfect. Cameron could have been anybody. And I think Marcellus, I do not like the difference between the audiobook and now the movie, like you're explaining.
Yeah, but you thought that he was like a wise old man.
Yeah, so I liked it from the book to screen adaptation, but I think that they need to think about these things when they're casting audiobooks. Like, one has to
One
follow the
has to
other.
follow the other, for sure.
Yeah,
Yes, I
yeah.
totally agree.
I don't like
Okay.
when they do the switch up on us.
Okay, so if you were talking to someone who has not read the book or watched the movie, would you say they should read the book first or watch the movie first?
I think that you should read the book first to understand all of the emotional impact and the obsession with Marcellus.
Yeah,
But I do think those that have not read the book would enjoy this movie a lot as a
I
standalone.
agree. Agreed. I do think reading the book is so valuable to the story and makes the emotional impact so much better in the movie. But I do think if you did not like the book, you should totally give the movie a shot. And
Yeah.
if you have not read the book and you just want to watch the movie, you still will get a very, very solid gist of the story.
We have a friend that like hated this book, like DNF'd it, I'm pretty sure almost. And so we need to have her watch the movie and let us know her thoughts.
I agree. She can be the final verdict. But I do think that I genuinely would recommend Remarkably Bright Creatures, the movie, to anyone who has not read the book.
Yeah.
And like,
Do-
if they don't want to read the book or if they just have it, whatever, I would say watch the movie no matter what.
yeah, I agree. Watch the movie no matter what. But if you are someone that enjoys these kind of stories, you should 100% read the book. I just think that like
Yes.
some people don't enjoy like an emotional lit fic.
True. True. I mean,
So
you kind of sometimes don't.
yeah, but I love a side character. So I loved Marcellus.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's very
He
true.
and again, he was the real winner for me in the book, but was he in the movie? I don't know.
I don't know. I kind of loved in the movie that Tova like was more of the shining star because I love a movie about old women or old people, but like specifically old women. And like all of these movies that are coming out in the last like 5 to 7 years or whatever that have like Jane Fonda and her crew in tow, like Diane
Yeah.
Keaton's in there, like the whole thing, like I love it. Their humor is my favorite thing ever. Like their I don't give a fuck because I'm an old lady vibe is my favorite
Yeah.
thing ever. So like if you also enjoy that kind of movie, I do think that this also delivers on that.
I can't believe you just brought up Diane Keaton, R.I.P.
I love her. I'll always bring her up.
I know, it's just too soon. It's too soon. I'm too sad about it
What?
still.
It's not too
I know.
soon. We need to live out her memory and support her.
You sound like a nitwit.
That's right. Because I am. I think I'm a nitwit in my spirit and in my soul, realistically.
I think though what is so crazy to your point that earlier we talked about how many book to screen adaptations have come out and Netflix is definitely delivering on them. But do you
Yeah.
think that they're going to like reign supreme by the end of the year because Amazon is hot on their heels?
Amazon is hot on the tail. I do think it's interesting because it feels like Amazon is very much taking the TV show approach versus the movie. Like, there's a
Yeah.
lot of shows that they're putting out, but then they're also, I guess they're doing like a handful of movies, but it feels like Netflix is very focused on movie adaptations. And that's kind of it.
Mm.
So I do wonder if that's where they're going to start to divide.
And conquer. Literally conquering. Like, where is
Conquest.
Hulu? Where is Disney Plus?
I agree. I am very interested in how Prime Video attacks all of these like rom-com slash like emotional romantic movies this summer
Yes.
because there are some big titles that they're adapting, like the Love
Yes.
Hypothesis they're doing, which I'm so excited for. Oh my God. And then what was the other one? They're doing that one by Carly Fortune too.
Oh, are they? I
Yeah.
can't even keep up. I'm like literally writing my TPR for the summer based on the books that Amazon is grabbing up.
God, why does Amazon have us in a fucking chokehold? Oh, it's called Every Year After. Oh, and it's going to
Oh,
be a series too. Interesting.
because that's how you keep memberships on
Oh, but
longer.
This Summer Will Be Different by Carly Fortune is also going to be a Netflix series. So Netflix and Prime Video are adapting
Interesting.
different Carly Fortune books.
You know who did the OG book adaptation and did it well though?
Who?
Do you know? HBO. Did they not? Big Little Lies. Oh my God, when that came out, I was like going
Do
crazy.
you
They
know?
did True Blood. Like they did
Yeah.
the first like kind of like big budget book to screen adaptations and they did a great job. Like where have they been?
You know who the OG book adaptations was from?
Lifetime movie?
PBS.
The OG books from the 1600s in the
Count of
OG
Monte
movies.
Cristo, Romeo and Juliet.
Don't sleep on PBS, but
Don't
honestly,
sleep on PBS. Okay,
What's
don't even
crazy-
try and give HBO those flowers when PBS deserves a full ass bouquet. Okay.
You know what's really crazy though? The best way to access PBS is through Amazon Prime Video.
Well, let's not talk about that. Okay, I do think that overarching, everyone that wants a cozy moment, a sweet moment, a heartwarming moment, maybe a quick cry, watch this movie
A
or
Mother's
read this
Day
book.
watch along. That would be good too.
Watch along.
Yeah,
It would.
like get
If
with
you
your
have
mom
no
on the
plans,
couch.
yeah, exactly. And let us know if you've read the book and what you think of the movie. And if you haven't, come back and tell us if you end up doing either of the two. And next
100%.
week, we're going to be back with Should You Read This on Fury Bound by Sable Sorensen. We are so excited. This is the follow-up to Dire Bound, their debut novel that came out last year, and it was a book talk sensation. It was described as Fourth Wing meets The Hunger Games meets Dire Wolves, all of the things.
Yeah.
And we're going to see if this follow-up is actually as strong as the internet is probably going to tell you it is.
But until then, come find us on Instagram at BookBits Club, on YouTube as BookBits and Chill, and also explore our Amazon storefront to find this book and many more recommendations.
All right. Until next time, bring your blankets, bring your book boyfriends, and we'll see you then.
See ya!